Hello and welcome to Non-Traditional Diaries. I'm Steph, and you might be able to tell by my skin condition that it has not been a good couple of weeks. So I'm returning from a short hiatus from making videos after going to orientation and everything. I got super, super sick in the last couple of weeks because my fridge did not keep its temperature because it's broken. So, because my fridge is broken, I ended up with some really bad stomach issues. And then I found out my fridge was broken, so I had to order another one. It's not coming until mid-August. So, my meal prep situation has been garbage, literally. So, I have not been feeling great. I haven't been doing very well mentally with everything that's gone on. But I'm going to share with you what's been going on, what happened at orientation, and we'll sort out this stuff together. So, like I said, there was a small situation where my fridge broke and I didn't realize it for about half a week. So, I had meal preps that I was taking to work with me and just eating like you would any other meal prep because that's what I do. I make these meal preps like a week in advance, and then I just eat them throughout the week, regardless if I'm at work or if I'm at home, just because it's nice and easy. It really keeps me on track with my dietary goals. But because the fridge broke, I had to throw out all my meal preps. I have not been able to meal prep since because I do not trust my fridge. And everything that goes into my fridge either gets eaten in a day or gets thrown out. So it's been really difficult to deal with that. And then while I was going through this 5-day sickness of not knowing why I was sick and then realizing that it was my meal preps that were making me sick because they turned into gastrointestinal bombs, um, I had to deal with people from the college reaching out to me saying that they couldn't find my test scores or they couldn't find my health information, even though both of those things were taken care of and were done and complete and sent in perfectly fine. So with that, I had to call McGraw-Hill, which is the parent company of the ALEKS exam, and talk to a customer help representative. And they got me a case number. They found my test scores. They told me exactly how the college could find them. So I had to email the lady that emailed me back about that with the case number, a screenshot of my test scores. I sent her a PDF of my test scores. And then she was also the one that asked about my student health forms. And I told her who I spoke to in the health office and who I emailed them to so that she could reach out to those people as needed. That was a little bit annoying, but it is what it is. You know, sometimes people don't have access to things or they can't find things. You have to kind of fix it for them. That's kind of what it is to be an adult learner. Uh, Stuff like this happens. It's not great. When you are a traditional learner, when you're a kid going into college for the first time, it is completely different. Your parents take a lot of the brunt of personal responsibility, as well as like dealing with the missing links. So, like the missing test exam scores, your parents would take care of that. Whereas an adult learner or a transfer student, you kind of have to deal with that yourself, which, if you've never done it before, can be really excruciating. So, when you're in this position as a traditional learner, it is good to have your parents talk to you about the process of finding these things rather than just letting them take the brunt of it for you. Yes, it makes it easier. Yes, it makes it less stressful. But knowing that if you ever become a transfer student when you are an older adult, you kind of fall back on that knowledge from your parents telling you about these issues. So, traditional students, 110%, if you are having any issues or if your parents are running into issues, have them talk to you about it. Have them go over things with you. That would be very helpful for you in the future to keep you upright and make sure that you know how to handle these things. So that was a couple of the tedious things in my personal life. My new fridge won't come until mid-August. because they said they had 7 in stock, but they didn't. They did not. And in fact, the maker of the fridge, I went to their website to see if they had any in stock. No, they were also out. They also didn't have any. So I am stuck waiting until mid-August for my fridge to show up. Hi, Echo. Hey, baby girl. This is Echo. You're cool. Yeah. So that was something I had to deal with. And then while I was dealing with these things, I also had to deal with kind of exhaustion. So I had a very expensive month in July, not July, June, and I needed to make up some cash so that I had my preferred number in my savings account. So because of that, I took on some extra jobs. I took on an extra 15-hour shift, which ended up putting me in an energy deficit along with the sickness and, having to deal with all of these other things mentally. And then waiting on doing my schedule also kind of messed me up because I needed my class schedule so that my job could create my work schedule. So that was also like super, super stressful for me and really like took it out of me because as a transfer student, I want to have everything put in place way ahead of time. So I do not have to go through the stress of trying to last minute put things in order so that I can make sure I stay on top of things, stay on top of my job, stay on top of my education. So that was one of the biggest things that was kind of eating away at my mental health as well. Now we will go over some orientation items. So my orientation was on July 10th. Today is currently the 22nd. So it's been a while. The whole reason for that was because of the personal issues I was having. So at orientation, it's very helpful for brand new students. They go over a ton of information in that day, and then you set up your schedule. For transfer students, it doesn't necessarily hit the same way. It's more tedious and annoying. Of course, orientation is supposed to be tedious and annoying. It is orientation. But there were a ton of lectures that didn't apply to me. There were things that just did not make me feel not exactly welcome, but it was just not exactly inspiring. But I sat through it. I did fall asleep during one of the lectures because they were talking about information that did not apply to me. And I was coming off of 24, so it's not like I was fully awake to begin with. Anyways, it was a very long day. We walked around the campus a ton. So we got to see all the different halls, and they took the residents that were staying at the campus to their resident halls so they can see an example room. And it was nice. It was an orientation day. If you're a new student, there are plenty of videos on going through orientation days, and orientation days are pretty easy for new students. You get directed around to all of the places. They tell you all of the information and a lot of stuff that you need to know and how the school works and how to register for classes. So it's really nice, like I said, for new students. However, returning students, it's just another orientation. I've been through 3 personally, and then I went to my sister's orientation for her school when she went to school, and I've been to a couple friends' orientations. They are all the same but different. It is all very tedious. So we finally got to creating our schedules, and it actually took me like 2 hours to create my schedule because we had to go through our transfer credits that were transferred from other colleges, see how they fit into our degree programs, then we had to go through and we had to add our classes. And first semester for my degree program, I have to go through a forensic science class, which takes up a large chunk of the schedule. There's no real issue with that, except that I really can't fit some of the necessary classes into my schedule. So I wanted to put in organic chemistry into my schedule, but it wouldn't fit because they made me take first year seminar because I didn't have enough transfer credits, which I then found out was because some of my transfer credits did not show up on my transfer paperwork. So I had to resubmit transcripts from my colleges to make sure all of my transfer credits showed up because I have a ton of transfer credits and they said I only had like 20 something. So I have more than that. So that was not great. So we are currently working to get me out of first year seminar and into something different, but I still won't be able to put in physics or organic chemistry because they clash with my forensic science class. And that is one class that is required for my first semester in my degree program. I did already have chemistry 1. They needed me to go through chemistry 2, which is only available in spring semesters. So I cannot do chemistry 2, which would have fit into my schedule if it ran at the same time as chemistry 1, but I can't fit it in. So this is one of the things about being a transfer student that gets tedious. I'm going to have to go next year into the organic chemistry and the physics if they don't fit into my schedule in the fall. But they only run class 1s in the fall semester and class 2s in the spring semester. So I will have to wait till next fall, not this coming fall, but next fall after it, to go into Orgo 1 and like a couple other classes because they only run fall semester. That is one of the things I don't like about the current college I'm attending. I don't like how they are limiting their class times. They have a ton of students that come in, but they have very limited class times. The forensic science class I'm taking has no other class time. There is only one class time for that class. So I had to fit my entire schedule around that one class, which took up a ton of time. The organic chemistry lab was at the same time as forensics lab. The physics lab was at the same time as my biology lab. And it's annoying. It is very, very annoying. So I did not get the schedule I wanted, but I got a schedule that worked. And when you are first coming in as a traditional student, your schedule always works. You don't have to necessarily fit your schedule around working, which is very helpful for those people. However, I have to fit my entire schedule around my job. So that really sucked. And then on top of that, not being able to put myself in classes I needed or classes I wanted also sucked. So I am going to have to deal with that as the time comes. And we will see how that goes. I'm currently in biology 1 with a lab, forensic science with a lab. I'm in ASL, first year seminar, and what they called FEX. So it's like community service. So they require you to do a community service class and do community service for being in their school. Apparently everybody has to do it every semester, which I get. I get it. It's really good. It's really nice. If you have time. When you're a non-traditional student and you're working while you're going to school, you don't necessarily have time to do a ton of community service. So that is also a little bit annoying, but my schedule might change. Not necessarily the days or the times I am going to school, but with those transfer credits currently being sent to the school so that I can see where I actually stand with my full transfer course load, I will be able to figure out if I can be switched out of first year seminar as well as ASL, because the whole reason I have ASL on my course load is because with the core classes that I'm taking, the forensic science and the biology, as well as the first year seminar, it only brought me up to, I think, 11 credits, and you need 12 to be full time. So I needed one more credit hour, but nothing in the one more credit hour section really fit in with the schedule. So I had to choose ASL, which then put me on a night class on a day I didn't want to have any classes, so I could keep it open for work. It's completely fine because it does start at 6, which means I can do a day shift, but that was also a little bit not exactly what I wanted, especially because they put my paramedic classes, the ones I have my literal degree in, into a physical education credit. My director for my paramedic program, my medical director for my paramedic program, is in active communication with my current school to see where that can be moved, where it is more appropriate. So, if you know anything about paramedicine, it is not physical education credit. It is a health sciences credit. Yeah, no, that was everybody at my workplace who I have told that to has been extremely offended and was like, wait, so we're PE teachers? No. Anyways, that is that. So my schedule might change because I should have my full course credits load, transfer credit load, after they get my transcript again to see if we can actually find those classes that I did to finish out my degree that were missing from my transcripts when I went to go do orientation. So the last thing we will talk about is my work schedule and what all happened with that now that I have my school schedule. So like I said in previous videos, I told my boss the moment I wanted to go back to school that I wanted to go back to school before I got accepted into a program, before I had even applied to colleges. The moment I decided I wanted to go back to school, I told her, and she would say we would try to work with it. So once I got my school schedule, I made a digital and an analog version. So I had the literal list of classes with days and times. And then I also put it into an online calendar so that she could see the week breakdown of when the classes were, when the class times were, what the spread looked like, and all of that. So once I had all that, I gave it to her and she was able to create me a schedule that's 90 hours for 2 weeks. First week being 33, second week being 57, and it works out to 90, which keeps me at full time. So I needed to be full time to keep my health insurance, and I knew I would have to lower my hours to 48 approximately, and it kind of worked out for me. The only thing that could have worked out better is if someone volunteers to switch their Friday evening shifts for my, for me, and they take my previous work week Wednesday evening shifts. So that would be the only thing that makes it even better. But it is what it is. We did our best to fit me in the schedule, and there's just not space on that day to switch with anyone. I am asking around to see if there's anyone who's willing to switch their Friday evenings with Wednesday, but I don't really necessarily have high hopes for that. People really like their schedules and they don't want to change them, even if it's for the good of someone else. I personally have no problem changing my schedule at any point in time. I've done it before for people, so it's not a big deal for me personally, but I cannot force anybody to change their schedule for me, which I don't necessarily need it. She was able to figure out my schedule for me and work with me, which was very, very kind of her. So that's kind of where we're at right now, where I have my work schedule and I have my class schedule, even though it might change. I am optimistic at this point because with the reduced work hours, I will have more time to do schoolwork. With the way it's set up, even though I am working every weekend for the foreseeable future, I don't actually mind it because 90% of the week, so Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, I will be sleeping at home. Well, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Saturday. I will be sleeping at home, no problem. My classes are early morning, but they're not like crazy early morning. They're more like 8, 9 o'clock, which is 8 o'clock is when my work schedule normally starts. So it's not necessarily bad. I am going to have to shift my sleeping hours because I do technically fall asleep at 1 a.m. So to keep my sanity, I'm going to have to learn how to fall asleep earlier. Getting into my old lady era. Go to sleep on time. Hopefully. So thank you for your time. I am so sorry that this video came out a little bit later than expected. I did need a little bit longer of a hiatus than originally planned, just because of all those personal things that were happening and my physical and mental condition. So because of that, I am very, very sorry, and I appreciate you coming back to my channel. If you want to watch my previous videos talking about financing and the ALEKS exam and all the other stuff that I have done up until this point, please feel free to go back and visit those videos. If you are wanting to have a friend who is a non-traditional student following along with all of their ups and downs and problems and successes, please feel free to subscribe to my channel. I appreciate you. Thank you for coming, and I hope you have a great day. Bye.